You guys, we're back. Sean, Brian today. Javon will be here shortly. It's been a minute. I don't think we've done a show in a couple weeks now. So, uh,
Yeah, the holidays were upon us, and so
yeah, it
much needed
happens.
reprieve, I suppose.
Of course, because life is a
However,
grind.
there was tons of sports, so I really missed it.
Oh man, I'm actually was eager to be on today because it's like there's so many things. You can only text so many things in our group chat that you want to say, but it's like a open forum because there's been some things with the NFL, the CFP, NBA, just a lot of things have gone on. I've been like, what's going on? Like it's been a good start to the year. I'm actually no, I don't want to say depressed. Depressed is over dramatic word. But I also think, oh man, we only have like a month and a half left of the NFL. And then
Yeah,
we go into that drought.
that malaise of hey, well, basketball's my.
Basketball.
Uh,
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't feel that way. There's a large portion of the population that's not into basketball, so I really feel for you guys, those people. But
Yeah. I love sports, so I'll be fine, but I can't lie. There ain't nothing but the drama about the NFL. The NFL just they're the king of drama. And
particularly this year, wouldn't you
oh,
say?
oh, we'll get into it. This year, I don't see. We'll have to add the NFL predictions for the first round. I don't see that on our list, but we'll add
Yeah,
that at the end after the CFP.
yeah. This is legitimately a year where I can say there's no favorite.
There's no favorite.
There's no KC. Uh, there's no Ravens. There's no
There's
favorite.
there's no favorites. This year is it's good for the league sometimes. Sometimes I think this year, if the Super Bowl ends up being like what the NBA Finals was last year with OKC and the Thunder, the Thunder
And
and
the Patriots.
Pacers, excuse me, yeah, that might be
Mhm.
good for football. New faces. I thought that was good for the. I didn't like it at first. Javon called me out on it, but he was right. It was a great series. It was great for the league. The ratings
Yeah,
was amazing. Sometimes you need new faces. We need the new guys. So that
sure.
might be good for the NFL. All right, so let's get right into it. So the college football playoffs. So Ole Miss in a crazy game against Georgia, crazy
Mhm.
game. Won, but it was some great games this week. Miami won and beat. Who did Miami beat? Miami beat.
Oh, Miami beat Alabama, right?
No, was it Alabama?
Yeah.
No, Indiana beat Alabama.
Oh,
Indiana,
Indiana. No, yes.
yeah.
Indiana beat
My
Alabama. Miami
damn.
beat. Oh goodness.
Let me look this up. Yeah, I feel bad that I did that. All right, but we'll start with the Ole Miss game. Ole Miss and Georgia. Classic game. Chambliss was amazing. Georgia, I live in Georgia. I went to the gym the day after. People
Texas
talking
Tech, by the way.
Texas Tech. All right, perfect. We'll get into that. And Georgia fans are talking crap about Kirby Smart. And I was like, it's definitely a what have you done lately for me type of world we live in because I'm like Kirby rescued his alma when he came back because that's Georgia wasn't relevant in the conversation for national championships. Yes, the last couple of years he hasn't won, but a couple of years ago, at the beginning of
He raised
2020,
the bar for sure. I
yeah,
mean, the bar was set so low, and he raised the bar, and now they have gotten arrogant to the point where it's championship or bust. Pipe down. You're not Alabama.
exactly. You're not Alabama, but I think the expectations now are on the level of Alabama here in Georgia.
Higher, sure,
Yeah,
and fair and justifiable, but yeah, calling for his head it's not the same situation as say Miami, who we reference, right? Where Cristobal had to show improve, and I think he's finally there. Or a few years ago, Ohio State's coach was in the hot seat like every week, right? So
yes. Yes, like every week. But yeah, I thought that the game was amazing. It seems like Georgia, when they lose in a tough fashion over the last couple of years.
mhm.
So they're turning into your Baltimore Ravens, but we'll talk about them at some point during the show. So it's tough. Georgia's gonna they're gonna bounce back. They have a great
Of
recruiting
course.
class. They're a young team. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna be back in the
Yep.
conversation next. But for Ole Miss, what it meant for Ole Miss and their football going through the whole Lane Kiffin situation, that was impressive. For them
Yeah.
to do this with some of the staff being at LSU, some of the staff coming back and forth, I've been very impressed. I've been very impressed with what they have done over there. Chambliss looks like the player. He looks like Mendoza's the best quarterback in this and coming out. But
Agreed.
He looks like the one guy in this rest of the tournament who can carry the team on his back, a la like a Carmelo Anthony in the NCAA tournament type of thing.
I totally agree. He looks pro ready, if
Yes.
you say that. He's poised and he's got tools. Yeah, I like it. I'm impressed as well. And wouldn't this be the irony if Ole Miss really got into the national championship game without Lane Kiffin? All of his hard work and effort, and he's not here to celebrate it. Kind of the irony of life.
Oh man, if they won the national championship, woo, we'll go into our prediction at the end of the show for when they for the Final Four for those guys. But yeah, very impressive. Pete Golden, what they've done with I just think that with all the chaos to be able to lock in and focus on the task at hand, they have to be just getting to this point and beating a heavily favored Georgia team. I thought Georgia was going to win that game, and so, but it was actually I think the CFP has been good in this aspect. It's not just the heavyweights winning, and we want that. We want the upsets. We want Miami, and actually Miami beat Ohio State.
Ohio State,
yeah. Texas Tech first, Texas A&M first, and then Ohio State. So even that game, so we could transition to that game. That was a physical brand of football, and one thing about this Miami football team that I really like, Cristobal has shown improve. That defensive line is the best defensive line in the country. That defensive line, yeah, they hit the quarterback, and I don't care. I lived in New England. I love Tom Brady, but in those Super Bowls he lost, they kept hitting him in the mouth. I don't care how great you are. He was the GOAT. And any quarterback, if you're getting constantly hit, it ain't going to matter. It ain't going to matter. And Julian Sayin had no chance that day because he was constantly getting pressured. That defensive line, let's go see. When they face Ole Miss this week on Thursday, that's going to be Thursday. It's going to be a crazy matchup because that's the key. I think Chambliss, he reminds me a little bit of like a young Russell Wilson. You got to be able to keep him in the pocket. He can make all the throws. He's a little on the smaller side, but this is not the NFL. This is the college game, so he can get away with that level.
He can get away with it. Yep.
Yeah, but I'm very impressed with Miami. I did not expect them to be in the Final Four.
Well, spoiler, I'm leaning Miami for this one.
Really?
I think defense wins championships. And and this is a sidebar, if the Ravens don't go get Bane, throw the whole franchise away. Seriously. I mean, whatever you've got to do, package whomever. There's nobody other than Lamar that we need to keep, and Flowers maybe. From the offense is solid, right? But anybody on that defense can be packaged and let go. I'm done with Roquan Smith, and again, I'm transitioning, but I'm done with all of them. Go get Bane. He is a monster, and that's what the Ravens need. Again, we'll get to that in a minute. But, I just think Miami's defense is strong. I think they're firing on all cylinders right now. So it'll be a good game to see, but I'm leaning Miami.
Yeah, I do think that I'm always a big fan of, especially in college, when you have a dominant defensive line. I think it neutralizes any quarterback. Like a couple of years ago when Michael Penix in Washington was in the CFP against Michigan, I remember being on this podcast with Javon. I was like, that defensive line is just too special in Michigan. And then I always believe it. I don't care how great the quarterback is. When the quarterback's constantly getting hit, they start seeing ghosts, they start rushing decisions. And I've seen it on the highest level. So it works on every level. So we'll get to that, but Miami has a really great chance to beat Ole Miss on Thursday or Friday, whatever day that is. All right, and regarding Indiana, what was your thoughts about Indiana and Alabama?
Indiana has been the best team all year, and they haven't stopped. The train has not stopped. This is a runaway train. It's really theirs to win. Cignetti is doing an excellent job. I don't know if he's in the running for Coach of the Year, if they've already announced that kind of thing, but I mean, the job he's done here is remarkable. And to take a program that, has never been in contention really in God knows how long, and to do what they've done thus far, hats off to him. and it'll be interesting. But I don't see the Oregon Ducks stopping them. It may be a shootout, but I don't see it.
You don't see it. I will say this. I'm leaning. Nothing's etched in stone. Nothing's in blood yet. I'm leaning to saying whoever wins that game will win the national championship. I'm leaning to it, but I have reservations to reserve and to change it. But Indiana's the best team in the country, and that team's Cincinnati did win the Coach of the Year last year, but I don't see why he can't win it back-to-back years. I gotta be honest. He's done an amazing job building that program. I did see some things online. He does have that Nick Saban aura about him. They did an amazing job. They got like 7 guys from the transfer portal, high-ranking guys coming in next year. So who would have thought Bloomington, Indiana football will be a place? That's when you one of those guys that you were able to kind of convert Indiana from a basketball school. Now every year you're right there with Ohio State. You're going to be there with Michigan every year competing for the Big Ten, and that's his job. That's his leadership.
The sports world is all upside down. This weekend, I turned on the TV and Nebraska was beating. I forget who they beat, but they upset a major program. Memory doesn't serve right now, and it was like Nebraska is undefeated. What's going on? Nebraska basketball. So
basketball.
I was like, so this is the world we're in. What used to be is not, and I just wish, this is my soapbox moment, I wish HBCUs could follow the suit. There's no reason at this point in collegiate sports that HBCUs cannot be competitive with other conferences and the PWIs. There's no reason. The talent's there. I mean, do what you got to do. Pay the money. Shell out the money. Let's get it done.
Do you think, because I'm going to be very transparent, right? If I'm a dad of a 5-star recruit, am I going to a HBCU? My goal is to play into the league. You could get it to the league, but first of all, the money's not going to be the same. And second of all, what would be the incentive besides just going to an HBCU? I'm just asking.
So from that standpoint, that's a great question. So the thing is, yes, they may not get the 5-star recruits, but why can't we get 3, 4-star? And most importantly, beyond that, be competitive. I mean, that's really what I'm saying. Right now, there's about 3 HBCUs that could realistically have a shot at beating a Division I, a top Division I program, right? But think about the Troys of the world that have upset Michigans in the past and that kind of thing. And what I'm saying is, get to that level.
Okay, yeah, just being
I'm
competitive.
Not saying be Ohio State.
Okay.
I'm saying be relevant enough where right now, it's South Carolina State. They're usually in the Celebration Bowl, and maybe. I'm trying to think who else. The Aggies every other year or so. But hopefully, Vic down there, Norfolk State, can turn that program into something legitimate, right? But it just has not happened, and it's nerve-wracking. I don't understand why. Being an HBCU guy, I just don't understand why there's such a disparity in talent and program. Really.
Yeah.
Talent, I understand because of the points you just made. Unfortunately, the league really does not, once upon a time, but it doesn't look at HBCUs as a major talent pool. They're missing out, but that's their flaw. But it doesn't mean you can't be competitive.
Yeah, no, that makes a good point. And I got to step back in a second. Travis Hunter did want to a HBCU.
He did start.
Yeah. But he started there, and then he went to. So people, I think if you Travis Hunter could have stayed 4 years at Jackson State, he would have been a top 5 pick in the draft.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you that guy, you one of the ones, you're going to get drafted wherever you go to school. Like, right. So that's no question about that. All right, and then we had one more. Well, we don't really have to. Oregon, I was very impressed with Oregon dominating Texas Tech the way they did, shut them out. Oregon's not really known for their defense, but they were very physical up front with Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Great match, rematch. Remember that game was really close between Indiana and Oregon this year. I can't lie. I'm not going to front. I would love to see Indiana win the national championship. I would just for what it would do for the sport and building, just showing, hey, you could build a program with the right leadership. Javon I wish he was here, but he made a great, he sent it in the group chat. He sent it to me personally. I can't remember what he did, but I do think Caleb DeBoer should be on the hot seat next year. This is his last year. Alabama has progressively looked really bad under his leadership. And again, it's hard to follow the man. It's hard to follow the greatest of all time.
Big shoes to fill, but he has not filled them well at all.
No. Like the Patriots had to lose Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's, and then there was a gap, and then you with Mayo and what's that guy's name? The quarterback. I forgot his name. He used to play for Alabama. Mac Jones. But then now they were able to find the people. Now they got Rabel, and they got Ben Daniels back, and then they got Drake May. So they're good for the next. You never want to be the guy replacing the guy. You want to be after the guy. Trying to replace the guy.
Yeah.
It's hard, right? So, but Javon made a good point. If I'm Alabama, I'm giving Cincinnati. I'm giving you whatever you want. I'm giving you 20 M's. I'm giving you 30 million a year. I'll give you whatever to leave Indiana. If Cincinnati, I wouldn't leave Indiana because I built this. Like, it's different when you build it from the ground up with your own hands. Like you built that. I wouldn't leave, but when he brought it up to me, I was like, wow, that's a great idea. Like they should go after it. You got to attempt to bring Cincinnati back to Alabama. It makes sense. Like you didn't bring him. He's at James Madison. You was going to bring him from James Madison to Alabama over Caleb DeBoer in Washington at the time. But this time around, you got to at least entertain the offer. I'm going to give DeBoer one more year. It's Alabama. They need to. You're not going to win every year. That's just life. You're not going to win every year. But the way they lost,
they're disappointing, and that's really what the point is. Losing is one thing. If we were marred by injury and whatnot, but disappointing. And when I say disappointing, I mean in the sense that the expectations are so high and you fall so short. Like we aren't going to lament over Ohio State losing to Miami terribly, right? It was a disappointment. They were ranked 1 or 2 most of the year, but Miami played their butts off, and it's not a rude awakening that they lost that game, right? They were out-muscled, physicality just played suit, but they'll reload and regroup, and they'll be in the mix again. Alabama will too, but the thing is, they're so disjointed, like they don't have the identity anymore, and that's really the problem with Alabama, because they have been punched in the mouth a lot this year. My Seminoles started the year punched them in the mouth. Unfortunately, that train fell off the wagon very fast, but so that's the thing with Alabama. They've got to get back to what works and who they are, and I don't know that. Like we said, DeBoer is the guy for that. I don't think he understands SEC football personally.
And the problem, this is the major problem to me, major problem that I see with Alabama is like they lost their swagger. And you missed the CFP last year. You barely get in. And listen, I got to say this too. Maybe I got to get my soapbox. The way these CFP games have been so competitive and fun, and now Javon's going to kill me for saying this. James Madison, Tulane doesn't deserve a spot. They don't deserve spots. I think we need to have that spot should have been Notre Dame or Vanderbilt or Notre Dame in Texas. We want competitive games, man. It's not better than competitive games. So I want a competitive situation, competitive games. And Tulane and the group of 5 can have their own playoff. Like, come on, man. Like, let's just call it. I know what people are going to say. It's your big time in it. It's just the group. No, but it is what it is. That argument for me is, consider this. Middle schoolers don't play high schoolers, right? There's a reason.
you know, it's the same sport, but there's levels to this, right?
There's levels to it.
And so, you know, yeah, Tulane did not deserve to be in the dance. You know, and some of these other teams, yes, they have great seasons, but you got to put it in perspective. Who are they playing? Who are they beating? Undefeated
Yeah.
against who? Right? So
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I've really enjoyed the CFP this year and the way they've got it done. But that's the only changes I would make.
but they need to expand for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely expand in no group of 5 teams. Like maybe I know there might be one year there's a team and maybe we can have a conversation, but the mandatory we got to get 2 people in. James Madison, Tulane, okay, I can live with that. But James Madison didn't deserve a spot over Notre Dame, Texas over Vanderbilt. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on,
Right.
like let's be real about that. All right, we good with the CFP right now?
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. The Atlanta Hawks, where I'm in right now, it's been rumblings when they did not give Trae Young that extension or offer him even offer him the extension off season. That Shams reported that Trae Young is working with the Atlanta Hawks to move him somewhere else before the trade deadline this year. He's owed $96 million over the next 2 years. He has a player option. He could be free agent, I think, this next summer. What's your thoughts on the pending divorce between Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks?
It's time, and dare I say, maybe long overdue. You know, his shine is certainly tarnished somewhat. We remember his antics in the playoffs a few years ago, ice cold, devouring the Knicks. But as you say, we live in a "what have you done for me lately" society, and there's not much to show. You know, he's still a tremendous talent. I will grant him that, but um, he is in he's in that Chris Paul realm for me right now. And what I mean by that is Chris Paul was putting up numbers in his early years with I guess he was with the Hornets. Was it the Hornets franchise? Yeah.
Yep, the Hornets,
Okay.
yep.
And so, you know, the numbers were good and the plays were flashy. He made the highlight reels, but it didn't produce anything. And it wasn't until he moved on, got with the Clippers, that it started producing winning basketball, relevant winning basketball in his career, which put him on the trajectory to be the point guard. And so that's where Trae is in his career. He's shown the flashes. He's given us the sizzle, and it happens with a lot of superstars in this league. So, I mean, I'm not beating up on him. It's just a point. You know, you look at Vince Carter. Vince Carter was tremendous in Toronto. He was legendary, and you know, had us all falling out of our chairs in the excitement. But it wasn't until he got to Orlando that he got to the finals, right? So it comes a point where, you know, you have run your course with the team that drafts you, and if they aren't building around you, and if you aren't comfortable there or whatever the circumstances, it's time to move on. Clearly, we can see Atlanta has comfort without Trae, right? They produce, you know, a pretty nice winning record without him while he was out with injuries and what have you. So I think they'll be fine, and I think it's just time for him to gracefully move on. And I hope he gets his swag back. I hope he becomes the Trae Young that we saw in Oklahoma in college, and you know, starting his career here in Atlanta.
Yeah, so I would say this. The comparison of Trae Young coming out of college was he was going to be the next Steph Curry. The problem with Trae and why he can never be the Steph Curry. Steph Curry's not a great defender, but Steph Curry is 6'2", 6'3", not 5'11". You know what I mean? Like Trae's really small and really thin, and Curry bulked up and put on some muscles the more he played in his career. So Steph is still not a good defender, but they're able to hide him, and he's capable of being adequate defender. Yeah, serviceable. That's the key. And so I don't see who goes against Trae Young. Part of the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings are running on, I don't know who runs that organization. Like I said in the chat, God bless me with $15 billion. I need to go buy a franchise because some of these organizations don't know what they're doing. And Sacramento is the top of the list for me. That's a horrible, horrible organization. Horrible organization. So I would say that's a team that I could see moving for Trae. But I think Trae's days of being a max level player is done because I'm working out again, and my goal is to put on weight. So I have to watch the empty calories I put in my body, right? Trey puts up empty calories, stats. Like, it doesn't produce winning. That one year they went to the conference finals was a lot of injuries in the Eastern Conference, and he's just not a win basketball player. In this, Pat Bev and him got into it over the summer, and Pat Bev was like, a lot of players don't like playing with you. He was probably, and I heard Don Haslam say it. It's been like a thing bubbling because he takes all the, he's not Steph. Steph can take all those 43 pointers, and he's the greatest shooter of all time. And it comes off in selfish basketball. So he puts up a lot of numbers. I love this guy when he was in the NBA, Stephon Marbury. But Stephon Marbury didn't produce a lot of wins on the winning team. Just empty stat. And Trey's on that level. So I think Atlanta should move on. You got your piece with Jalen Johnson. That kid is an all-star. He is the one. He's the guy you build around. You have your draft picks this year over the next couple of years, and then you get the New Orleans pick, which might be a high pick. You get Peterson. You can get the Monster. You could get one of these guys, Boozer. It's just time to move on. You reach your ceiling with Trey, and he wants to move on too. If he's working with you, you'll come back in 10 years, honor him. He has a lot of team stats, all sorts of stuff. But just sometimes it's just like a marriage. I'm not for divorce, but it's the best for some people. Sometimes it just happens. That's how life works, right? And so, yeah, I just think I'm just not a big Trey Young fan. I think he doesn't win enough, and you could put up a lot of numbers, but what does that actually mean?
He's definitely, there was so much hype and sensationalism about him. I wasn't excited about him either. I mean, he's really just he's a victim of the moment, or if you will, because the Steph Curry phenomenon where you're jacking up threes, that's the era of basketball we're in. And he was fitting the mold in college, right? He played that role really well. And so it got him a contract in the league. It got him, big money. And here we are. But now, as the game is evolving back to bigs and dominance in that realm, where does that leave him?
I don't know. And that's he's just really small, and like until you were able to, I know it's funny. Luka Doncic is not a good defender, and Luka's a 6'8".
He's horrible.
Right? yeah.
He's horrible.
Me and you probably better defenders than him. Like, and that's me being not even trying to be funny. It's like I would say I'm a better defender than Luka Doncic. I'm dead serious. I think. And some of it's effort, and he don't try sometimes.
Yeah. Well, no, that's why I said he's horrible. I watched a play or a game the other day, and guy came down the lane, and he stood there, and he started complaining at the referee, and it's like, you didn't even throw a leg out, man. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. He's hard. I remember that finals against Boston, how they just exposed him every time. So even with him and Luka's great offensively, also the swag, all that stuff, and you can't hide him. What are you going to do with Trey? And you could build as many defensive players around these guys as you want, but at some point in this level of the NBA, people are going to play. They're going to do the switch thing. So I don't know what kind of defense you play around him, what kind of mastermind he goes to. Be like, hey, you got to play this type of defense. But that's the only way I see Trey. Trey would be the perfect guy off the bench to give you like 25, 30 minutes, 25, 28 minutes.
Offensive guy against the second team.
Yeah.
That's cold-blooded to put him on the second team at this point in his career. He's still young.
He's young.
But I get your point just from the defensive matchup standpoint.
Exactly. For winning aspects. Like I like Trey as an offensive player, but for winning, he can't play 30, 35 minutes a game because he's going to give you 20 something points, but he's going to also give up a lot of points. He's going to be in the action all the time. I don't know how the Lakers are going to build around Luka Doncic. I love Luka. I thought skinny Luka was going to be like playing better defensive. He's just as bad. And so there's a will, there's a way. I hit my cap. The Nuggets are able to build a solid top 10 defense, top 15 defense around Jokic, and it's effort Jokic gives. Jokic gives effort. He's not a good defender, but he's adequate because he gives effort. And I think Trey doesn't give effort sometimes. He saves for the offensive end, and Luka damn sure doesn't give any effort. It's embarrassing. Right. He should be embarrassed to have that stuff on film. Like it's really bad. So it's just time. But again, the only team I can see getting Trey is the Sacramento Kings of fresh start for him.
Now, from the standpoint of your statement about backing up, and he wouldn't do it, it wouldn't fit, but Indiana could use him, right?
Oh,
Like right now, missing Halliburton, and they're tanking, this season pretty much anyway. But that's the kind of situation that could serve him well, right? Just a rebuild, get on a team that's got talent. He probably doesn't have to be the man. They're defensive minded enough where they may be able to hide him somewhat. So maybe.
I would say
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. I was gonna say Milwaukee's so desperate for Giannis to stay. Maybe a Trey Giannis with Miles Turner who could help defensively might help him. But they got to figure out something. Even though I like the point guard Rollins, I like him as a young player that they got.
Up and coming.
Yeah, he's up and coming. I really do like him. The only thing is about the Trey situation is my only concern. If I'm Trey, you got your 92 million. You made over 100, 150, 200 million already. I don't see him because he has a reputation not being a good teammate and people don't want to play with him. I could see him, even though he's really young, but there's a sucker every day, born every day, the Sacramento Kings, who might give him a 3 to 5 year deal. But if I'm a winning team, Trey will bounce around the league on 1 year deals until he shows. He's got to show that he's willing to put the effort on defense. Again, just put the effort and don't be so selfish. Can't all be about stats for Trey because you're not Chris Paul. So Chris Paul was small, but Chris Paul he was solid and he could play defense. He could
Yes,
effort.
he definitely could play defense.
He could play. Oh, definitely one of the best defensive small guards I've ever seen. But Trey don't put the effort, so he's got to change his game, I think, in some aspects to stay in the league and not just be those guys. Rajon Rondo was a great player, but the last 5-6 years of his career, he was on 1 year deals because of the reputation he had. And right, so I do think that again, Trey's young and there's a sucker every day, the Sacramento Kings. I'm just gonna say, I think that's the worst organization in sports. And well, there's a few others, but they're really bad. Might give him a long-term deal, but I wouldn't do that if I'm a contending team. I just don't think he contributes. This version of him, he needs a 2.0 the latter parts of his career. He's only 27 20 years. He's young, but I just don't think he wins enough. He's not a winnable player.
Agree.
All right, so we're going to go to the NFL. Black Monday yesterday. Well, I don't think we call it anymore Black Monday because people didn't like the connotation, so I don't want to call it that. But the day after the season, a lot of fire-ins happened. So we'll call it what it was. A lot of fire-ins happened on Monday. So let's start with the Arizona Cardinals. They fire Jonathan Gannon after 3 seasons. Everybody thought he was going to get another chance to bring in his quarterback with the GM, and they fired him. The only thing I don't get, he was brought in by the GM, and the GM kept his job. I don't get how that process works with NFL teams, but it's not my call. What was your thoughts about that?
Yeah, very curious. And what are we saying here? Because it's apparent Murray's done. So are we saying, Coach Gunn will keep Murray? I really just don't know. Maybe they're just taking a full blank slate approach, kind of what it seems like. I think they should. I didn't mind Gannon as a coach. I think, again, your point, probably should have given him a chance with his own quarterback because Murray wasn't his guy. So, he inherited. So I would have liked to have seen that just to see what they would do. But that's one of those franchises. You talk about franchises in disarray. Arizona, I'm just thinking how a few years ago they were in the Super Bowl with Kurt Warner and they never sustained that. So that was clearly a flash in the pan. And it's unfortunate because that fan base is one of the better ones in the league, actually.
Yeah, it's a great location.
Love the desert.
Yeah, exactly. It should be able to track all the free agents you want because that's one of the desirable locations for players to live. It's
absolutely
45 minutes from LA, like on a plane. So you can be 4-hour drive. So I don't know, but I saw something yesterday. I was talking to someone about this. Everybody, the Cleveland Browns are an example, the Atlanta Falcons are an example. That's what I was using. You could fire all these coaches, you could fire all these GMs, but you can't give it. And I love Arthur Blank. I love his story, how he built Home Depot. But he hasn't done a consistent good job running the Atlanta Falcons. Like you chose, regardless of his faults, you chose Raheem Morris over Bill Belichick, who was clearly saying, hey, I want this job. how seriously are you worried about winning? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, I like reviewing wars. I'm all for black coaches getting jobs, but I'm going to take Bill Belichick if I have a lot of talent. And I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like Bill Belichick has got more football than Raheem Morris will ever know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's call a spade a spade. You don't do that. So that's one. But you can't change the ownership. And that's what's going on with Arizona. Bidwell has a history of being a bad owner, and they've been bad more than they've been good under his leadership. So, yeah, get rid of him. I like Gannon. I think he'll go to a defensive coordinator job, and I think he'll be a head coach right away. So I think he got a raw deal over there. I really do. So I do think he should get another head coaching job in a couple of years. Like, I think he's not that bad. I think that it's a good job because of the things. They do have talent on the side. They're a really young team. It's just, do you believe in Kyler Murray? And that's who you bring in. Do you believe you can? Because he's going to go somewhere else, and someone's going to make him his reclamation project. Maybe you keep him there and you say, hey, because he does have talent. It's just some of the work ethic stuff we hear about. The people he's not galvanizing people. He's not a great leader. So I don't know. That organization clearly looks like to me that they should be in a rebuild. But the main thing is, if I'm a head coach, I don't want to work for Michael Bidwell. I don't. I don't want him to be my owner. And I know there's only 32 of these jobs, everybody says. But if you're one of those guys, you'll get your opportunity somewhere else.
So it's interesting. As you said that, I started to think who would be a viable candidate for that position. And I don't know, I'm having a brain fog today. I guess I'm still in holiday mode. But the Cowboys coach that was recently let go.
Mike McCarthy.
Yes, thank you. McCarthy. Yeah. Well, you don't get much worse than Jerry Jones micromanaging. So for what it's worth, he's used to a terrible owner that way, right? And I think he'd be a good stopgap. Is he the solution? Is he going to turn that program around? I don't know, but I think he's a winning coach. I think he has winning philosophy, and I think if he brought that into Arizona and was able to really put his thumbprint on it, it could change their trajectory.
Okay, so for each job, we should go I like that. He's definitely going to be a hot candidate, Mike McCarthy. That job, it just depends what direction you want to go with that job. Like, are you keeping Murray? If you're keeping Murray, I say Mike McCarthy. I agree with you. But if you're going full rebuild,
go young.
I like Jesse Minter from the Chargers a lot. I liked him at Michigan. I think Brian Flores, he's still young and he needs another job. And I think the Raiders, we'll talk about them in a second, he would be the ideal guy for that culture. But yeah, I just think if you keep Kyler, Kevin Stefanski, Mike McCarthy would be my guys, because he still has the talent and you just need someone who's been there and done that as a coach. But if you go full rebuild, you got to go. I think you go young, a young offensive coordinator, young defensive coordinator. The Rams defense coordinator is really good. Something like that. But you want young with Gannon too. So and he was a defense guy. So yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that organization is at a crossroad. What do you want? And I'm a big believer, even in life. That's why all of us in the middle class will try to get rich. You don't want to be in the middle. You get a lot of benefits if you're poor. Like, it's kind of what it is. You get a lot of benefits. Be in the middle, you don't really get the benefits. And you're rich, you don't get anything. So that's how I look at sports. I don't want to be in the middle. And you're in a division with Seattle. You're in the division with the 49ers, and you're in the division with the Rams. You ain't competing anytime soon right now with those guys. Right. Go start young. Go find your young quarterbacks. Supposedly going to be a good draft next year. That's what I would do. That's the direction I would go in. But it was supposed to be a good quarterback class this year too. So
well, they said that.
Exactly, and they all falter out. All right, so we went with the Cardinals. I have to really sit down and think about the Cardinals situation, but that's my thing. The Raiders clean house. Tom Brady. I'm gonna call you out, Tom. You're the GOAT. Don't become Michael Jordan of owners. Don't become. We're gonna start putting the pressure on you. Like, you come in, you clean house, you let Antonio Pierce go after a year. You let Pete Carroll go.
I didn't like that decision, by the way. I thought Pierce could have sustained and could have turned some things around. I don't know that they gave him a fair shake.
No, they didn't. And because you never even, first of all, you co-signed Geno Smith. I don't like Geno as a quarterback. I've never liked Geno. I'm happy he made his money and all sorts of stuff. But as a reliable guy, as
No,
your quarterback of your
he's not a
franchise,
solution. There's a reason he faltered.
yeah, 18
Fell in the draft
interceptions.
and never really got his opportunity. Well, he's gotten opportunities, but he's never produced, and we know why.
He hasn't produced. So if I'm them, I would go. If you're gonna go the Patriots way, and that's the successful way you do, Tom, go get Patriots coaches. Brian Flores, I think he got screwed out of Miami, but I guess the relationship with Tua, blah blah blah. I thought he made him competitive. He was hard nosed. He was the closest thing to Bill Belichick, but still being himself. I make him my offense. I make him my head coach, and I just see this online. So I'm going to steal this idea from Mike Flores from Pro Football Talk. Go get Brian Daboll to be your offensive coordinator. I loved Brian Daboll as an offensive coordinator. He's a hothead, and they both come from the Patriots system, the Patriots way.
Right.
So Brian Flores is your head coach. I don't think Daboll deserves to be a head coach right away. He needs to earn those stripes again, but he'll eventually be a head coach again.
Sure.
Let him be your offensive coordinator. Flores runs the defense. Daboll runs the offense, and start from there. And you bring some of that level of accountability, some of that toughness back to the Raiders that you need. I love Pete Carroll, but I think Pete Carroll was more for a veteran team than a young team at this point. He's 74 years old.
Yes,
let's call a spade a spade. And he's a fun-loving guy, but I think that would work well on a team that was trying to compete.
Established. Yes, agreed.
Exactly. So that was my. Who do you think for the Raiders as head coach?
I like that. I like that suggestion. And I'm not so much focused on that team. Really has got to figure out its identity, right?
Yes.
Again, you've got to shore up the quarterback situation. So you go out and you draft one, or you go get one in free agency. That's first, and then the talent's there on the offensive side. You've got Genty's going to be a stud. You've got some weapons on the outside. Tight end is going to be all pro.
Oh, he's special.
So you've got talent there, but the defense has no identity. I mean, other than Max Crosby, I think you take advantage of this point in his career. He's still a weapon, right? But you're not helping his cause. You're wasting his prime. So package him and go get you a ton of draft picks, free agents, whatever the case is. Make a move and reestablish the identity of the Raiders. I say you go out, and that means you got to go get a hard-hitting safety or a stud cornerback, because that's really speed was Al Davis's mantra, right? He wanted speed, so they always had Willie Gaultz of the world and those great receivers and great DBs. Go do it again.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said. That's accurate. They got to figure out with that number one pick what direction you want to go. I would take Mendoza if you love him. If you don't, I'm not saying take a quarterback just to take a quarterback, because there's a lot of guys in free agency you can make it. But
Sure.
Like you said, you need a level of identity. I think the identity needs to be Brady. If I'm Tom Brady, I'm like, man, this is how I was successful. The structure. I got to find the guy. You're not going to bring Josh McDaniels back there. The perfect guy is Brian Flores, because he brought a level of culture to Miami. So again, he had his faults.
And the reason he didn't work in Miami is because Miami is not the place to be hard line. That's not who they are as an organization. So he was a little too tough for that. And you could say, hey, it's Miami. They've kind of got a laid back philosophy. Yeah, I agree. I mean, they were structured in the Shula days, but we're long removed from that. And even Jimmy Johnson had trouble in Miami, remember? So there you go.
Exactly. I completely agree. Go get Flores. Go get Daboll. Let those guys be your guys. Build the Patriots way in Vegas, because the Raiders culture, it's different being in Vegas though than Oakland. Those are two different places. But it's still the culture of what the brand is big, and especially in that division. You got the Harbaughs, you got the Reeds, you got Sean Payton. The way those teams, you gotta fit that structure, and it's gonna take. You got two coaches you fire over the last three coaches over the last 3 years, paying $50 million to the coaches who are not going to coach for you next year. Freaking let these guys get at least 5-year deals and build it the right way. Build it the right way.
What about Eric Bieniemy?
Eric messed up in my opinion when he left Kansas City to go to Washington. Then he left Washington to go to UCLA. And when he left the UCLA, it was like it was only a 1 year thing. He took a year off. His shine.
You think he's lost his luster?
Oh yeah, his best bet is Matt Nagy going and get a head coaching job somewhere, probably Tennessee. Him going back under Andy Reid, and maybe being the heir apparent to when Andy Reid leaves. That might be his chance to be the head coach in the league.
Okay,
and that's just my thing. All right, so the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns fired Kevin Stefanski, the 2-time Coach of the Year. He's already. I saw last night. They already have him lined up for interviews with the Falcons. I have him lined up interviews with the Cardinals. He's gonna be a hot candidate. Who for Cleveland? That's another team I'm stumped on. In what direction should Stefanski go?
Stefanski will be a hot candidate, and he'll have his picks. And I'm not sure there. I don't know how I feel about him in the Falcons. They need a different kind of splash, in my opinion, because they've got a load. They're loaded as far as Atlanta goes. So Stefanski, I don't know if he's an offensive guy, if he's offensive minded enough to satisfy what Atlanta could be. So that's my thought there. But as far as Cleveland, well, they've got to really answer the quarterback question. This is you see a trend with bad teams.
Facts.
If you don't answer the quarterback question, you're not moving the needle much. So they've got to answer the question. Is Shador the answer? I think you give him a full year as the guy going into camp. This is your team, and let him really see what he's made of. Give him one good year. Put some weapons around him, right? And let the chips fall where they may. So this is not a year of expectations for Cleveland. It never is, really, right? The Browns have been awful for a while, right? But you've got Myles. Build around Myles Garrett and build that defense into, and they're good. They're one of the top defenses in the league.
Yeah,
but make them a marquee. Make it painful to go to Cleveland. Funny to say, right?
Yeah.
It is anyway, but that's just me being a Ravens fan and a Browns hater. But really make it, we don't want to see Cleveland there on our schedule. Make it that, right? And then if you do that, you build your defense that way, then you can hide the fact that there's some deficiencies offensively, right? You give Shador a chance to work out the kinks. That's what I think.
So they do have a really good young defense. That defense is one of the better ones in the league. They played really good, definitely the last part of the season. So if I'm a coach, that entices me to be in Cleveland because of that defense. Vance Joseph will be my number one candidate. I was Cleveland. But he has to come with a really innovative offensive head coach, offensive coordinator, maybe someone from the Sean McVay tree or something like that. So I would see who he brings as his offensive coordinator. But he might not because he's under Sean Payton. I'm not sure, but he'll be one of my candidates because we continue with that dominant defense. But he has to come with a strong offensive coordinator. I don't know, and I put this in the chat. If I believe in Shador, like as that automatically he gets the spot. I think it should be a competition next year. I think I would move on from Dylan Gabriel. He didn't show me enough. And again, these kids are young; they're going to develop, right? So maybe somewhere else. But Deshaun comes back next year. I would have Shador, and maybe I go get a Kirk Cousins, a Kyler Murray, or someone. It's going to be a competition because we have two first round picks. I'm not sure if I'm trading up my 2 first-round picks to go get Fernando Mendoza. If I love him and the Raiders will move on, then maybe you do that. But also, this is a stopgap. And I heard Haslam, the owner, is in love with Arch Manning, who comes out next year. So I would go one more year with my young coach, be like, hey, let's figure out if we have it between Watson or Shador, and then we'll bring someone else in. We're going to have a competition. That's what I would do. I would have an open competition.
Because it's the Browns, and only because it's the Browns, and I wouldn't be surprised at them. I wouldn't be surprised if they took a flyer on Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
Folks, right? He's clearly not the guy there.
No.
And so, give him a new start. He fits the mold, right? the mobile quarterback. It's kind of the Shedeur makeup DNA, if you will, and give him a shot. Maybe he gets a rebirth. Couldn't be worse than what you have, right?
Absolutely. I think this was a bad year for Cleveland in this aspect. The two young quarterbacks, no one took the reins and said, "I'm the guy." And that's true. I like Shedeur. I really do. But he didn't take the reins and say, "I'm the guy." So now you can bring in Watson back.
So when you say that, I just wonder how much he was handcuffed.
Could be. That's why.
So maybe that's why Stefanski's gone.
Absolutely. But also, I don't think, from what I've seen, I don't think it's like enough to be like, you're the starter in day one. I think he has to earn that. I think.
Okay.
And if you bring all three of those guys back, Gabriel, Watson, there's going to be open competition. Let's see who's the best. And a full offseason with a coordinator who believes in you guys, and we give you all the three a chance. Because I don't look at Shedeur like I look at Cam Ward. Cam Ward is certified in Tennessee, and he struggled this year. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. I do think Cam with Mike McCarthy, a Kevin Stefanski, someone who has an offensive DNA, and he has enough talent, and the division is not overly tough, even though the Texans and the Jaguars look at this year. But I think it makes works. Again, I didn't see enough from Shedeur to say you're number one already. I'm doing a competition. I think that's what you got to do. Especially, you have all these draft picks. You have to decide someone's got to be the guy, or we got to go get that guy.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. All right, so a few more. Hold on, I lost my. What was next on the list? I lost where we're at. The Atlanta Falcons. So the Falcons, they clean house. They let Raheem Morrison go. They let the Fontenot go. The general manager was there for 5 years. Now I win the season. Kind of messed up. We went viral that Arthur Blake and his son dapped up Raheem Morris after the game, gave him a hug. Hour later, he was gone. That was from the media. But that's the life of the NFL. What's your thoughts about the Falcons moving forward?
I'm not mad at this decision. Raheem Morris, good coach in his own right, but I don't think he was underwhelming as far as, again, the talent that this team has, offensively speaking. It never well, first of all, the decisions at quarterback have been curious, right? Penix is in, Penix is out, Cousins is in, boatload of money, then he's out and Penix is in. It's all over the place. Again, bad teams are evident by the quarterback situation. It starts at quarterback in the NFL 100% of the time. You show me a team that's a Super Bowl contender, and the first thing we're talking about is their quarterback. It's just bar none. I mean, we talk about the elites, right? The Josh Allens, the Mahomes of the world, Burrows. Those are the quarterbacks that are always in the conversation for Super Bowl contention. And then there's a second tier of quarterbacks, and then there's those fat flashes in the pants. Are they good enough? So on and so. But if you're not talking about comfort at the quarterback level, you're talking about a bad team. Atlanta is one of those teams. They've got Cousins, who didn't look terrible, right? He won some games. He helped my Panthers. Thank you very much. But is he the answer? Absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. I do think that they have to. That's the best job available because they have all the offensive talent in the world. That's why I think Raheem Morrison got fired, because first of all, the quarterback situation, they messed up. You don't give a guy $100 million and drop a guy with the 8th pick. You just don't do that. They messed up that year. And Penix had a history of ACL injuries, got an ACL tear. It's just bad. And Kurt looked like he fell off a cliff. So that's one. You didn't stabilize the quarterback position. Two, too much offensive talent. Kyle Pitts never got to his potential. But I think it's more the scheme. He brought Zach Robinson over from the Rams. Didn't really fit the scheme with Penix and Kirk Cousins. It's just a lot of bad things. And they lost a lot of close games. But they played good against the really good teams. But they played really bad against the really bad teams. So it was just too much inconsistent for that team. I saw them against Buffalo live. They look really good. They have the pieces on both sides of the football. They just got to figure out who the quarterback is and who's the leader. It's the best job available because it's just too much talent on that offensive side. That's that's team. That was the one I wouldn't mind.
It's a plug and play situation. I mean, the NFC South, living here in Charlotte, I watch the South quite often, and it's a wide open division. I mean, look, the
Oh,
Panthers backdoored their way into the playoffs, so there's no dominance here. You know, Tampa Bay is the closest thing to top of the division, and even they faltered. So the Saints are awful. Uh, you know, so if the Falcons got the right coach in, got the right system going, yeah, they could handily probably win that division, or at least compete with Carolina and Tampa Bay, respectably, and make it worthwhile. So sure.
yeah. If I'm any of these head coaches, I want that job. That's the job I want. Living in Georgia, 9 months of beautiful weather, 10 months of beautiful weather. It's nice. Like, you can't beat it. They have a beautiful stadium, beautiful practice facility, and so I just think it's the job to have. It's just I wonder who they're gonna get. It's just, and that division is so bad, man. You can win that division with 10 wins every year and be complete and just getting an opportunity. But also, not just the coaches. If I want one of these quarterbacks like Tua, Kyler Murray, these guys who might be moving on, that's probably the number one spot I want to go to. Russell Wilson, all these guys who are their careers in limbo. They're like, we need another spot. And I actually like Kyler Murray here with the right offensive coordinator and the right head coach.
I agree.
Yeah. That'd be a good place to revise his career. Atlanta's in a good spot if they do it right this time, Arthur Blank. You got to do it right. You do it right, you got the right coach, and that will be the number one spot for the quarterbacks.
Well, rumor has it that Matt Ryan's being looked at as president of player development or one of those high, player football operations.
Yeah.
So that's solid. I like that consideration. He knows the franchise. He knows football. He's a winner. So you start there, you're on the right track. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, they got a lot of talent. So they get the quarterback position, the coach right. That team should be able to continue and win the NFC South. That's just kind of what it is. All right. Mm-hmm. Oh, before I go. Well, it kind of coincides with this. If the Ravens move on and decided, hey, we don't want to pay Lamar, and Lamar doesn't want to be there, Atlanta, give up the next 4 draft picks you have. First rounds, give it everything you have. Because if Lamar came to Atlanta and he played with that talent in that division, that's a 13-14 win team, a number 1 or 2 seed in the I'm just saying, my bad. I just got to be real.
Fair. That's not even fair. Henry's good. Bijan Robinson still in his prime. Lamar throwing in London. Oh,
Pitts. Even thinking about it, that would be crazy. I just thought about that because when they were talking about Lamar might not sign, I'm like, Lamar. I'm like, if I'm Lamar, get me to Atlanta. Like, it's really close to Florida. I could be home in an hour and a half in South Florida. I don't have to deal with the cold. It's a dome in a weak NFC South. I get out. I don't have to face Burrow and Pittsburgh and all these guys anymore.
Right.
Come on.
My
man. I actually, no disrespect to you and Javon. I love you guys. But if I'm Lamar, me and my mom, we're going to sit down and be like, let's look at options. And Atlanta will be at the top of my list. I can't lie. It'll be on top of my list.
Hey, I understand that. I definitely, it's a nightmare consideration, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, top of my list. All right, so let's get now that transitions to the Ravens and Lions. The Lions were eliminated, won the last game against Chicago, and your Ravens were eliminated 2 years in a row. Well, it wasn't a playoff, but they were basically a playoff game in heartbreaking fashion. You start first about your disappointment with the Ravens, then you can go into Lions, and I'll piggyback off that.
Well, brace yourself, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thought number 1 is we've got the wrong Harbaugh right now. John Harbaugh must go. John Harbaugh must go because he is, we talked about DeBoer being the guy after the guy. Harbaugh was the guy after Billick, and Billick won the championship, and Harbaugh inherited the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed team that was destined for a championship the last hurrah of Ray Lewis. Since then, he has not done enough for me.
Yeah.
And over the last few years, the deficiency of his coaching ability has been on Broadway, front and center. His time management is horrible, horrendous. And it's one thing to just have bad management, but it has cost us games time and time and time again. And not only just costing us games, regular season games are one thing, but costing us championship games in the playoffs, opportunities to go to the Super Bowl, etc. So a lot of the dissatisfaction I have with the Baltimore Ravens starts with John Harbaugh. That's one. Now, from a player standpoint, because players play, he coaches, he can only do so much. He's not on the field, not in between the lines. He's not making first downs. He's not dropping balls. Those things happen. But from a personnel standpoint, the offense is solid. I'm comfortable with the offense. You can upgrade the offensive line. That would be, a focal point, if anything. But the defense it's got to get better. First of all, Orr is not the answer. And a lot of people, a lot of fans here or not here, but a lot of Baltimore fans are done with Orr.
Yep.
I don't know if I am or not. I mean, schematically, he's just not doing enough. But I think it's a talent thing. There's no defensive line. My 5-year-old could probably rush the passer better than what they're producing. So that's one thing. Then because the defensive lines are awful, the secondary is exposed. Not to mention the linebackers are not covering as well. So you're playing zone, you're getting exposed in the middle of the field, and it happens so much. And then the opportunities to go yard are there, and we're getting burned. Humphreys is done. I'm done with Humphreys. Marlon Humphrey, let him go.
Yep.
Trade him. Go get an upgrade. Wiggins is okay for now. Hamilton is all we have, but heaven help if he's injured like he is now. Was at the end of that game. It shows total. So you need to shore up your secondary. You must start with the defensive line. So it's Crosby, it's Hutchinson, it's somebody. Go get a stud. Draft a stud, go get a stud, whatever you got to do. That's got to be priority one. And then we just need to execute after that.
Yeah.
It's simple, right? And
yeah.
the kicker thing, Tyler Luke missed that kick. That was just a moment. The moment was big. He's a rookie. The moment was big. He's not Justin Tucker, not to mention the wins and all the things. I just knew watching that game, I knew he was going to miss because the kicker missed on the other end. And again, it's not as much as it was bad and, missing, you've got one job. Harbaugh made a bad decision. 14 seconds left. You've still got your pocket full of timeouts. Run the ball.
Yeah.
Run the ball. Get a few more yards. Or because the rhythm of the game, and this is what Harbaugh does not understand, the rhythm of the game is they might have been out of sorts. You might have got a touchdown throw. It would have been dicey, but Mark Andrews is a sure bet. Go and get that 5 or 6 yard chunk middle of the field.
Yeah. No, you're preaching. You're preaching. I'll piggyback on this. A few things. The wrong coach is not the Harbaugh. They don't need another Harbaugh. The wrong coach was Mike McDonald, where he's doing.
Well, totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. I put this as a Facebook post. I believe it was a Facebook, or did I put it in our group chat? I don't remember. But it was disheartening because I am dual fan base now. I'm Baltimore Raven through and through, as you can see behind me. I'm from the area. But I live in the Carolinas, so I support the Panthers. So I've got one of my two teams are in the playoffs. Not the one I expected, by the way. But anyway, I was trying to be greedy and get them both. But it was disheartening to watch the Seahawks with Sam Darnold get the number 1 seed. Sam Darnold was here as our quarterback for Carolina, and he was not that good at all. He went to Minnesota, turned them into 14-win team, and then does the same thing in Seattle. He's not a bad quarterback. He just didn't have the right situation. Clearly, right? It wasn't his. He wasn't shining in as a Jet. No one does, right? The Jets are just god awful. But so that's one part of it. And then to watch Mike Macdonald do what he's doing, he should be here. You're right. He should be in Baltimore.
The problem with the Baltimore Ravens is they've lost their swagger and that aura that they had about being a tough physical team. That's what I see in Seattle. When I was watching with my girl and I told her, I was like, Seattle's going to win against the 49ers. And she's like, why? I was like, because they're a tough team. And I can't say that about Baltimore over the last couple of years. They're not tough, and especially defensively, they're soft. And so, or got to go. And like, I understand what you mean about the players, but they've lost a little identity even before. They might not be the most talented, but they have this identity about themselves, and they've lost that. Harbaugh has to go too. I think that you lost back-to-back heartbreaking ways, and it just shows me a lack of, not saying because things happen, but it's just a lack of toughness about that team that I just don't like, and I'm sorry to see it. And like, first of all, there's been a couple games you shouldn't even put yourself in this position when Derrick Henry was just running the football and you stop going to him. That's a Monken thing. But you're the head coach. You're ultimately responsible for that. I just don't see how you continue with this, like, unless you make a massive changes along the whole coaching staff. But I don't see why at some point it's like a marriage. It's okay. Not everything's gonna last forever. It's okay for things to separate. It's okay for everybody to move on. Harbaugh will get a job in a second. Someone's got to tell me, why does he get to keep his job again, especially in that division with Pittsburgh? That Baltimore was the favorite coming out in Vegas to win the Super Bowl because there was so much talent accumulated by DeCosta on that team. There's too much talent to be 8-9. 8-9, not making the playoffs in that division. Come on, man. No. And you
especially with Burrow being down, like this was the year. Because they're going to reload. They're going to figure it out. And they've got a ton of weapons as well. They're going to figure it out. I don't know that Pittsburgh will, time will tell. But one of the things, as you were talking about that, you made the point about identity and swagger. Isn't it interesting when we talk about the league? The league is really simple when you break it down. Quarterbacks matter. Coaches matter. I'm looking at a Sean McVay full of personality. He's got a fire in his belly. Even Tomlin, Pittsburgh's not having a good year, but Tomlin still got that moxie and arrogance about him that makes him a coach that players get behind and fight for. But you look at the Raheem Morrises of the world. He's an even keeled guy. You look at the Aaron Glenn's, and I'm not targeting black coaches. It's just an irony. But you look at Aaron Glenn, even keel, a Todd Bowles in Tampa Bay, kind of moderate, calm, that's good in some sense, but you need I'm going back a bit, same trend, a Lovie Smith, right? That's cool if you have the players to counterbalance.
I see what you're saying.
But if you've got this even keel, low key quarterback or coach rather, and then you've got kind of matter of fact, laid back, no fire kind of players, they just put their heads down, do their jobs. What are you gonna get, right?
Yeah.
So illustration here: Houston, the Texans, their coach is. He's kind of middle, he's not too fiery. He's fiery enough, right? But they've got some fiery players. Will Anderson's and like Stroud's a low-key guy, but he's a talented brother, right? He's a hell of a talent. But so it's a perfect blend. And you see they're in the playoffs, and quite honestly, they're gonna be one of the teams that surprises you. Mark my words, they're gonna win their first game. They'll beat Pittsburgh, and then I won't be surprised if they get in the championship game.
Oh, no. And when we go through our predictions, I'm gonna, we're on the same page. We're on the same page. Yeah, we're on the same page. That team is gonna be in the championship game. I'm saying it now. That team defensively, Stroud, just don't mess it up. Just make a couple plays. But defensively, that's the best defense in football, and there's no close. It's a Seattle's second, Denver's third, but that's the best team in football. That's the best defense in football, and I trust in that defense a lot. The only thing I would say is this: if the Ravens move on, who will you go after as their head coach?
Now that's a question that I have yet to put my thumb on.
Yeah, and that's the problem, I think.
And that could be why Harbaugh is sort of safe, because there's a loyalty factor. Bisciotti is god awful loyal, perhaps to a fault. So there's a loyalty factor here, which it's a stability thing. So I'm comfortable with that. I'm glad that it has taken this long to us to get to the point where we're ready for him to move on. Harbaugh being, personally, I think it was, I think we're a few years past. He should have been gone a few years ago. But again, it goes back to that point. Where do you go from here? The franchise has been stable. Not a lot of coaches. We're not looking for a new coach every 2 years. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I don't know. I think you need a defensive guy. I'm torn. If you keep Monken, then you need a defensive-minded coach, or you get an offensive-minded coach and you get a really strong DC. So it's got to go that way, because right now you've got neither. You don't have a strong head coach, you don't have a strong DC, and Monken he puts the plays work, right. Lamar looked great in that fourth quarter, right. The numbers were there. The decision making, and that's where the head coach comes into play. Like you said, when Henry's cooking, you don't stop. Don't take your foot off the gas. And if Lamar is cooking, you don't go away from that either. So, those are the things that have been the difference.
So if I was Baltimore and I'd keep Harbaugh and Flores doesn't get a head coaching job in this cycle, he'll be my DC. I'm bringing him to be my DC, and because he has that strong personality, that toughness to him, kind of like a McDonald. I would bring him to be, and I like how innovative he was sometimes with the Vikings. He would be my DC if I keep Harbaugh. But if I don't keep him, these are the three candidates, and because I think you got to go big with the three candidates. Flores would be a candidate to be the defense, to be that coach, but he would be my third candidate. The top two, Marcus Freeman, I would call him in Notre Dame. That guy's gonna be special. He's gonna be an NFL head coach someday. That's the guy.
I was thinking that.
Yeah, that's the guy I'm calling. I'm saying you, and if I'm Freeman, because I have Lamar Jackson, who's not even 30 yet. That's the job I will leave. I'm not going to a rebuilding program. I'm going to go to a proven place that's tough, fits my personality, and we have the quarterback. I'm moving on. I would go to that. And the second guy, I think he's always in the conversation because he's the GOAT, Bill Belichick. I would make a call. That's an upgrade to me than Harbaugh because he's won. And I think they need some level of toughness and stability. And Belichick is quiet, but he's tough. He's tough. I think that's what they're missing there. Those would be my three guys. They have a level of toughness to them.
Those three choices make a lot of sense. The Belichick one I'll just speak on. From a nostalgia standpoint, it's a feel-good piece because he's got roots in the Annapolis area, which is down the road from the stadium, and so there's that. I don't know if his brand of football would resonate at this point, and that's really just that's the totality speaking to him. The reason that North Carolina may not be a successful program under his regime is just I don't know if. It's the Pete Carroll situation. These older coaches may be done, right? It's a young man's world, and so his time may have just elapsed. So that's the only thing there. But to the point that he could, what he's great at, he's great at, no question, right? He is the GOAT. But I like Freeman. I think Freeman would be a Ravens kind of guy. He's young. He's got that moxie. Yes. He would give this franchise an identity again.
Yes.
He's a motivator, which is what Harbaugh was in his early years. And it seemed to pay dividends. And he trusted his players. And I think Freeman would do the same. He would give Lamar Jackson a level of confidence again that probably would, fit the mold and propel him back to the MVP conversation. I like that idea. I don't know that they will pull that trigger, but I like that idea.
And Freeman he's young. He's not even 40 yet. He can be very choosy when he decides to move to the NFL because at Notre Dame he's gonna bring recruits. Like I saw Ryan Clark talk about this. The guy, you could just tell that's a leader of men. That's a leader.
Yes.
Like, so if I'm a dad and I'm thinking, I want to send my son to him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's just going to be a really good coach wherever he's at. And someone's going to be lucky to get him. So that's why I was saying if I'm Baltimore, and he'll be the coach for that organization like Baltimore for the next 50, 20 years.
You know,
yes.
There's stability. No question.
But if I'm him, either mark my words, when Tomlin or Harbaugh, he'll be the number one candidate for both of those organizations, I think, because he's the guy who will be there for the next 15, 20 years in those organizations.
Agreed. And man, that would look good in Baltimore. I mean, black coach, you know, I don't think they've ever had one for the Ravens franchise. No, they haven't. I mean, it's Marshall Broda and Billick and Harbaugh. So, you know, black city, predominantly black city, bring in a black coach. I mean, he'd have to keep heavy security because the ladies would be all over him. But I think he's married.
He's married. He's married with like 5 kids. So, but who knows? He should be.
Hey, this day and age, that won't stop him from trying. But
exactly.
But
You know, he'll be the prime candidate. Yeah, if you're gonna leave Harbaugh, you're gonna leave Tomlin. You can't just go get an offensive coordinator from Joe Schmo. You're gonna go big. And and Freeman's the fish that everybody. That's why I understand why the Giants wanted him. He's a big fish. It makes sense. Like, so he can definitely be the guy. All right, so the Lions. What's your thoughts about the Lions?
Yeah, so I'm torn. I like Dan Campbell. He's a run through the wall kind of coach, you know, fire. But is he enough? And that's really it. That's it. Is he enough? I mean, you're starting to waste some prime time. You know, you've got some talent. The talent's not the question there. I don't know what the question is really, and that's kind of the problem. I mean, they've got weapons on offense, they've got weapons on defense. Injuries have hit them hard on the defensive side, so maybe you reinforce your defense. But outside of that, just do it. It's just a Nike situation. Just do it, man. They just got to win. That's real. I mean, a couple years ago, they were, you know, moments away from the Super Bowl. So, I mean, you know, get there.
Yeah.
They're in the Ravens boat. They're in a very similar boat. And I'll say this, they aren't, you know, I'm not out on Campbell the way I am on Harbaugh because it just hasn't been as long a disappointment stretch. Two or 3 years, we're getting close, though.
Yeah. I would say this. Detroit was like innovative a couple of years ago with Ben Johnson. They had Aaron Glenn, they had Campbell going for fourth downs. Like, it seems like the league has caught up to them a little bit. I do think losing Johnson was a big hit to their franchise, and the Campbell had to take over off OC. They got to find a new identity offensively. So that's one. Because the league has caught up. Two, I think his coaching style of the fourth down, it reminds me of Brandon Staley of the Chargers a couple years ago. Not every time you need to go first. Sometimes take the points. It comes and bites you in the ass sometimes. I'm just not a big fan of constantly doing it. I think he should take a step back a little bit and be like, hey, am I helping my team all the time? I understand it's a mentality and all this stuff, but sometimes you just got to be smart, take the points, especially in a division that's super tight with the Bears and the Vikings stuff. Every game matters. Look, you're out in the playoffs by one game just because of some points you've left on the board and games you left on the board with that. So I'm going to do some self-evaluation, but the most important thing is find an OC, and they got to figure out their defense. Their defense has been inconsistent, a lot of injuries, like you said. And once they figure that out, I like the DC that they have. He did a decent job this year. They'll be right back in the conversation. Just they lost a lot of close games they usually won over the last couple of years. You can't keep doing that fourth down stuff. It just doesn't make sense.
No, agree. Yeah, you're spot on. You know, I was just thinking about this. Man, analytics is ruining sports.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
1,000%.
I am so frustrated, and this is again me on my soapbox. From a football standpoint, fourth down, going on fourth downs is so common now that it makes me feel like I was a great coach, because that was what we did as kids playing video games on Madden. Every fourth down, it was 4th and 31. We're going for it. Who punts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But now that's the league. That's reality, and it's like, I don't know that makes sense. Like you said, there's rhyme and reason. 4th and 1, middle of the field, maybe, but backed up to your end zone, no, not a good decision. And I've seen that play itself out. Terrible, 4th and 1, instead of kicking the field goal, you're going for it. And now you get no points. Yeah, no, these are just bad decisions. And it happens in basketball. Fast break, 3-on-1 break, spot up for the 3. No, go in, pass the ball twice, get a jam, get a layup. What are we doing?
Yeah, I'm 1,000% on
Analytics have ruined sports for me.
Yeah, we've been on that wave for years now. I'm a big believer in the opposite of it. Like, sometimes just take the point. I'm not opposed to doing it sometimes, but all the time, I just don't think it makes sense. They got to figure that out over there in Detroit.
Like, all right, so we're almost at the point where we're eliminating the punter.
Yeah, and it's just like one of the things I've saw Buffalo do this against, I think, Cleveland. I've seen in the college football playoff, Alabama do it against Indiana, going for it on your 35 or 40th, not even on their side of the field. It doesn't make sense to me. When you're doing that and you're giving a short field, you're doing a disservice to your defense. And I don't think that makes sense. It's like you're telling your defense, well, we don't care. No, you got to look at both sides of the football, how you could benefit both sides of the football. And I think that's what's been – that's my only thing against it. I don't mind with you over your 50, if you're on your 45 or your 40, 30. I'm all cool with that because a punt could be like you could leave them there or touchback, whatever. But doing it consistently on your other side, your own side of the field, I'm not a big advocate of that at all. All right, so let's run through some of these. So Darian Peterson, the star shooting guard from Kansas, returned after like an 8-9 game layoff. His family, this was funny to me, but I get it. His family was like, hey, we don't want him coming back unless he's 100% healthy. He wanted to come back, but the family stepped in. Mm-hmm. The kid's going to be a top 3 pick. I get it. What's your thoughts about Peterson coming back and his family intervening?
It's different, right? The families are intervening. No, it's not. Families have always had a hand in it. The media's got a hold of it and they're making a big difference, right? They're making a big stink about it. It's the best decision for the player. Then that's what it is. He is going to be a number 1 pick. So yeah, why waste him away in the college ranks when we know he's got bigger fish to fry? I'm not bothered by that. We're in an era now where, unfortunately, it's self-grant, self-absorbed society we're in. You got to take care of me. It's me first, then the team. I don't agree with it, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of players playing, but in the pros. Like if I'm having these issues now, Kyrie Irving played 11 games at Duke and was the number 1 pick. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like Darren Peterson, he could never play another game at Kansas and he'll be a top 3 pick. Like it's just he's that talented. He reminds me of a young Kawhi Leonard. So they're gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine, but he's playing, and so that'll be good for college basketball, college sports. And he wants to put 1 year, make a run for it. But I'm not mad at the family looking at the long-term scope of his future when that kid has a chance to do what he probably has been dreaming of since he was a kid. He's still a kid, thinking, I'm gonna play a top pick. You got to put your next 15 to 20 years ahead of 1 year at Kansas. That's life, right? I'm never mad at guys sitting at bowl games if you're an NFL prospect and you're not playing the CFP because I tear my leg up or something. That's my livelihood. I got a family to feed. I got my future kids. I'm never mad at that because we wouldn't put our lives on the line to go to this office building. Someone said we're in danger. So I'm never opposed to that.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Is OKC still the favorite? OKC got killed last night by the Charlotte Hornets. Your Charlotte Hornets. They got killed. I text you guys in the chat. I'm like, I thought they were sitting all their starters. No, but Shea played. All these guys were playing. They're 6-6 since starting 24-1. Their chances of breaking the all-time record of 7-3-9 done. Are they still the favorite in the league to win the title?
So a couple of thoughts here. First of all, shout out to the Hornets for bombing OKC. And just finishing that point, Charlotte's a team. Don't sleep on the Hornets. I know their record doesn't show it, but I was listening to Sports Talk Radio. When they get healthy, they're going to be a problem, and years to come. They've got right now, I think, 4 players who are averaging 19 points or more, which is a rarity. We're talking historic numbers at this point, right? So that's one thing. They're a young team. They're going to be a problem in the league for some time to come if they stay together as a nucleus. If they take a page out of the OKC framework of how to keep your franchise and build, from the ground up and the whole piece. Now, as far as OKC being the favorite, absolutely. They're still the best team. They still got the best player on the planet. This is just a bump in the road. It's a good thing, though. I like the fact that they're coming back to earth a little bit, because I didn't really want another dynasty. Basketball dynasties are not as fun for me. Football dynasties happen. The Patriots, I wasn't excited about that because I'm not a Patriots fan, but, I could live with it. The Chiefs kingdom, I could live with it. Even going baseball, the Yankees lore, I could live with it. But basketball is god awful.
You don't like it?
And I'm saying that even being a part of one as a Lakers fan, watching them, three-peat in the early 2000s, it doesn't excite me. I mean, I take those victories, but the Bulls dynasty was amazing to watch, but I wasn't excited. I was on the other side of most of those victories, and the Golden State, Cleveland era of basketball, and even the Heat. Well, they didn't get the three-peat, right? But the Heat, Spurs, time, it's Spurs or it's the Heat. Spurs or the Heat. I'm done with that. I'm not a fan of that. So I liked the fact that OKC and Indiana was the championship last year, and OKC won it. But if they keep winning, I'm going to feel the same way. Back-to-back would be impressive, right? But when you kind of look like we can close our eyes and just give you the trophy, it's no good. And so the fact that the Spurs said, not so fast, we've got something to say. I loved it.
Wow.
Basketball rivalries are good for me. It takes me back to a great time in my life in the 90s where any given Sunday, to quote football, but any given Sunday or any given game, you could see a challenge. And so the fact that the Hornets beat OKC, that's good. I just need the bottom feeders to come up, right? The Wizards. I want the Wizards to be relevant again, not just because I'm from the DMV, but I mean, it's good for basketball.
Yeah, I saw a good podcast the other day talking about how to make these teams who are consistently bad more competitive, because it is good when every team. The one thing about the NFL I like is every year, most teams, if things break right, a schedule, you can go from worse. Look at the Patriots last year, 4-13. Now they're the second seed in the AFC, right? Some of it schedule, all sorts of stuff. The NBA consistently over the last couple of years, the bad teams have been really bad. And you need some level of luck. Look at the Spurs. They got 3 in the last 4 drafts, a top 5 pick. And they got that unicorn with one of them. So they were able, in the Castle, who I really like coming out of UConn, he's good. They got a star. They got another. So I mean, they were able to build their team, and now they're one of the best teams in the West and going to be there competing with OKC for the next 10 years. So we got to figure out how to make it more incentivizing that these other teams and the Wizards, all these bad teams, can get better, and we can make it a complete 30-league competitive league. I do agree with that statement.
Bad teams have to spend the right money, because that's a big problem. They spend money, but they usually overpay the one player, and so it's scouting and it's money.
Yeah. One of the solutions for it, I actually liked it. If you're on the top 5 lowest records of the league, you have they said that you get like a $10 million more in salary cap that you could spend on free agents, or 15 or $20 million. For example, Charlotte. Again, Charlotte's a nice city, really good city. But if you are 25 years old, free agent, Miami's calling you, the Lakers are calling you, the Knicks are calling you, Chicago's calling you, all these big cities, and Charlotte is a team with cap space, and everything's equal. You're gonna go to one of the big cities. Charlotte's not even gonna be a consideration. You might not even take a meeting with Charlotte. Kevin Durant was from the DMV, didn't even take a meeting with the Wizards when they were trying to support him. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, I like the idea because if I can give you my competitive advantage in these small markets is I can give you more money. Not saying they're going to come, because me personally, if someone offered me, I like nice weather, and Charlotte could offer me $10 million more, and Miami could offer me $10 million more, I'm going to Miami. But that's me. That's my lifestyle, what I like. But to other people, they might be like, yo, I'm going to take that $10 million and go to Charlotte. It's 6 months out of the year. I can live in Miami 6 months. You know what I'm saying? So I do agree with that. You can't make it equal because all these markets are not equal.
Yes,
like,
no, that's
it's not the NFL, or how the NFL has done an amazing job where Kansas City or whatever the case may be. Like, you got to make these small markets in the NBA, because it's only 12, 15 players on a team, equal. And the way I do see that is Utah, for example. No free agents going to Utah unless you could pay them more money. And so that was one of the solutions. But regarding OKC, or you do it the right way, like OKC. OKC has built their team the right way through the draft. Like, you could do that. You got to have good free agent. OKC, I'm glad in this aspect. I thought the NBA was going to be a cakewalk. I remember texting you guys after they beat Phoenix and they won 24-1. I was like, yo, one day I'm going to tell my kids that I saw the 25-26 OKC Thunder. Now they come back to reality. Houston definitely could beat them. Not saying they're going to do this. The Nuggets could definitely beat them healthy. And I see them not as a dumb. For some reason, they're not a great offensive team. That's why you can compete with them. So even in the finals against a team like Detroit or the Knicks, it could be a better, like, the Thunder's talent to the Pacers' talent was not even close. But the style of play, you can be affected in the finals. It's going to be this is a good year for the NBA, because OKC's the favorites, but it's not a runaway.
They're favorites, but they're not dominant, and that's the difference.
Exactly.
And that's what I don't mind them being. So to answer the question, posed, are they still the favorite? Absolutely, the favorite.
Yes.
Barring injury, they're the favorites. And remember, they're not even at full throttle. They've only got one of their Jalen Williams right now.
Yeah, a good point. The only thing what made me realize, pump the brakes on OKC, was when the Spurs beat them 3 times in a 12-day span. It wasn't just because the Spurs. It was just like, no, they've had a blueprint. You got to be as physical as OKC, and you got to be as athletic as OKC. And Houston can do that. Denver's not so, but Jokic was amazing in that 7-game series last year, and he's the best player in the world. You got a chance, and then you got the Spurs. So it's more open. Those 3 teams have a legit shot to compete with OKC in a 7-game series, and that's good. That's good for the league. All right, so the CFP predictions. So we got Miami versus Ole Miss, and then we got Indiana versus Oregon. Who do you have going to the national championship game?
So I think it's Miami, Indiana.
Oof. My heart wants to say I'm taking Indiana. My heart wants to say Ole Miss, but because I really like Trinidad Shambles, I think it would be a good story. But I was always a fan of the U, and Carson Beck and those guys are making enough plays, and the defense has been special. I agree. It's going to be Indiana, Miami. We're playing for the national championship.
It's classic offense versus defense. And now, as far as that goes, I think this is just Indiana's year. I don't know. This just feels like a no-brainer almost.
Yes.
Let it play out, and that's the excitement as a fan. But it just, from an analyst standpoint, it just feels like a no-brainer. It just feels like they're riding a heater, and I don't see any kinks in the armor.
No, it's one game, so that's always a chink in the armor that you can have your worst game on the big spot. But I just think everything's lining up for them, and not just lining up. That's a really good football team. That defense is really solid, up top to bottom. But that would be a good national championship game, or it's going to be Miami, Indiana. Yeah, I think Indiana. I think the way that's coached, how tough they are, the quarterback should be the number one pick in the draft. That team should win the national
Now, I
championship.
will say this: if Oregon were to pull it off, I'm leaning Oregon, and then this is another kind of curveball. Dan Lanning's he needs to go to the pros because he will have impressed me enough. You beat the heavily favored Indiana team and then win a championship. Like, he can write his own ticket.
Yeah, Dan Lannon is another guy who definitely will be in the pros at some point. But yeah, I do lean towards that feeling as well. Like whoever wins that Oregon, Indiana game will probably be the national championship. But we've seen some crazy days, and I just want good games going forward. It's been a great
Agreed.
start
Agreed.
to the
Yep.
CFP. NFL predictions. So we can go through the whole list real quick, or you can just go game by game, or you could just go with your prediction. So I don't know what you want to do.
You can pull up the games. Let's run through it. We got a few.
All right, so let's go to NFC first. I know I'm basically off my top of the head. So 2 versus 7. The Bears are facing the Packers.
Yep.
Who do you like?
Is Jordan Love still hurt?
He's playing on Saturday.
So if he's playing, I think Packers win.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Not because of him per se, but I think he gives them a stability. That game. Malik Willis was serviceable. Don't get me wrong, but I just think Jordan Love's gonna right the ship. They'll win that game, even though Caleb's been smoking hot and that team's been doing well. But I just think the Packers are destined to win this one.
I like that. I'm going with the
game in Lambeau.
No, it's in Chicago.
Soldier Field. Okay, well,
yeah, because the Bears are the highest seed. So I'm going to go with the Bears. Too many injuries for the Packers. Jordan Love's been in and out. The offense been just too many injuries. I think the attrition of the season has taken a toll on the Packers. But it is a rivalry game, so you never know. But I have the Bears going to the second round. So all right, so you have the Packers. Remember that. So when we go over that second round predictions, I have the Bears. So the 3 versus 6 matchup, the Eagles are facing the 49ers. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is a 49ers game to win. I think they have to exercise the demons of years past. But this is a toss-em for me because the Eagles, it depends on which Eagles team shows up, right? Some weeks they're dominant. They look like an all-world team, and then some weeks they're unenthused. They're a Saquon Barkley dominant game away from being, the favorite for the Super Bowl, right? So it's a toss-em, but I'm leaning towards the 49ers. They lost last week, so they've got to right the ship. And I think
so you got the 6th seed and the 7th seed winning. All right, so I'm going the opposite. I'm going with Philadelphia. The blueprint is clear. What Seattle did running against the 49ers, who defensively they just have a lot of injuries. I think that's the Eagles' blueprint. Just keep running the football. The 49ers could not stop a nosebleed last week. And it's just because of the injuries. So I think they'll make enough plays, and the Eagles' defense is one of the better defenses in the league. So I think they'll make enough plays to make it. So I got the Eagles going to the second round against the Bears, and then we'll go with this last one. Do we even have to break down the Panthers and Rams?
No, I am. My heart is pulling for Carolina, but reality is the Rams are a juggernaut. Now, we did beat them a few weeks ago, so that was impressive, but I just don't see it happening twice. Lightning striking twice, same spot, doesn't happen too often. So
maybe I'm being negative, and I don't even think the game's going to be competitive. It probably will. They did beat them a couple weeks ago. It might be closer than I think, but the Rams are not losing in Carolina.
It's here, right? The game is in Carolina, so that will at least keep it competitive. If it were in LA, it'd be a blowout.
Oh, it'd be a blowout, yeah. I might watch the game on Saturday. No, actually, I'm watching the game. It's 4:00. I'm going to watch all the games. All right, so let's break it down. So I got my matchup in the second round. I got 1 versus 4, so that'll be Seattle versus the Rams, and then I got the 2 versus 3, the Bears playing the Eagles. Then you have the 4 as your highest seed winning. So you have 1 versus 7. So you have Seattle facing Packers, and then you have the Rams. Damn, the Rams and 49ers 5 and 6. Who do you got?
So, based on what you just said, Seattle's. So it would be Seattle versus the Rams. No, Seattle
Packers.
versus the
Packers. Yeah.
I see Seattle winning that game if that were the matchup. And then the other side, that's almost another toss-em. And I think if I'm not mistaken, based on that, San Fran would be home, and the Super Bowl is there. No,
it'll be the Rams. The Rams are the 5th seed. San Francisco 6th seed. It'll be in Los Angeles.
Okay,
Yep.
so it would be in LA. Then I would just slightly give the edge to them at home.
Okay, so you got the Rams.
So it'd be Rams, Seahawks would be my NFC Championship.
Okay, so my NFC Championship game, man, Seattle versus the Rams in the second round is crazy. I'm going with the Rams, going back to Seattle. That was a close game that a couple of Thursdays and nights go in Seattle for the division lead. The Rams had the lead, blew it. Rams go to Seattle, win, go to number 4 seed. I think the Eagles beat the Bears. I don't think it's close because I think Caleb Williams won't be up for the moment. And I got the Rams versus Eagles NFC Championship game. Who do you have winning your NFC Championship game?
I'm laughing because I can't believe I've got Sam Darnold, a Sam Darnold led team looking like a Super Bowl contender, but that defense is good. Mike McDonald's proven himself this year. So yeah, I see Seattle going to the championship. Number 1 seed for a reason.
That's perfect. So I got the Rams beating the Eagles in Philadelphia, avenging that loss last year in Philadelphia in the second round. I just think the Rams' offense is just too bad, and I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles are equipped to win a shootout in a postseason game this year. So, and the Rams' defense is better. So I got the Rams in the Super Bowl. All right, let's run through the AFC real quick. So it's 2 versus 7. So we got the Patriots versus Chargers. Who do you got?
Patriots, Chargers. So I like the Patriots. I just think they're firing on all cylinders. This will be the come out party for Drake May.
Yeah, I got the Patriots as well. I think they're a more balanced team, and I don't like the injuries in the Chargers, and I don't like the Chargers not playing.
Herbert's playing with a broken hand too. I mean, he's toughing it out, but yeah, I don't know that that's going to sustain.
Yeah, it's going to be a close physical game, but in Foxborough, in that weather, having to fly all across country, I'm going New England to win that game. 3 versus 6, so the 3rd seed is Jacksonville versus Buffalo. I think that's the most intriguing first round matchup. Who do you got?
Agreed. I have said this is Josh Allen's year to win it all, but he's given himself a hard way to go as the 6th seed. But I think for the storybook of it, that's what it is. However, on the other side, Jacksonville has to, they got to resurrect themselves because they were in the AFC Championship just a few years ago. So they're also in that same boat where get over the hump, kind of like the Lions and the Ravens are. So that is going to be a great matchup. I think that's going to be the best game of the weekend of the playoffs. First round. But I'm leaning Buffalo. I just think Josh Allen's got enough moxie and he's got enough weapons there. They'll pull it out. Yeah,
I'm going to go Buffalo as well. I think it's going to be a really close game. Like you say, echo everything you said. It's going to be the best game of the weekend. Jacksonville's been on a heater, but this is Josh time. Like it's all set up for you to go through the AFC. You're the best quarterback left in the AFC, and it's not even close. So, no disrespect to Drake May or Justin Herbert, but Josh, you one of the ones. You one of the 4 best. So that we talk about. So, I see him going and winning that game. So, and then the 4 versus 5, Pittsburgh versus Houston.
Well, strictly heart. Go Houston because I don't want to see the Steelers do anything after beating my Ravens. But even on the sound analyst side of things, I just think Houston's a better team. We talked about it. Their defense is bar none, par excellent. And I think Stroud is I think he's ready for the moment. I think he's got some demons of his own to exercise. They lost to they lost to Kansas City. Now that was a few years ago, where they had the lead at halftime and they squandered the lead. And I don't know if he was the quarterback then. I believe he was. If not, it was the year before him. But nonetheless, I just think Houston's the better team.
Yeah, the defense, Pittsburgh offense could look anemic at some points, even though it came alive against Baltimore in the second half. Shout out to Aaron Rodgers, but I think this will be his last game, and I think that that defense at Houston is just
big difference. Baltimore could not touch Aaron Rodgers. Houston will touch him a lot.
A lot. So yeah, it's not going to be close in that aspect. All right, so my 1 versus 6 seed, because Buffalo's the 6th seed, so Buffalo goes to Denver, and then New England faces Houston, and then so yours is. I think we have the same matchups. We have
I think
so. So same. All right, so Denver, Buffalo. Who do you got?
Denver, but oddly enough, I think Denver is the better team total.
I agree
because the defense is stronger. But again, if Josh Allen puts the Superman cape on, then they win. So that one, I'm leaning Buffalo. I'm leaning Denver, but I won't be surprised if Josh is heroic.
So you got Denver winning that game.
I got Denver winning.
Okay, I got Buffalo because I think it'll be closer. It's gonna be a tough game. Denver's defense is really tough, but do I trust Bo Nix to pull out another 4th quarter? After when you keep living on that edge like that and you're not special, Bo Nix has not been special on this run. The defense has been special. I think it just comes to an end. So I think both number 1 seeds in the conferences lose in the divisional round or in the second round. So yeah, I got Buffalo going to their 2nd straight AFC Championship game. All right, what about New England versus Houston?
Now that's an interesting matchup because you got, the young gun. Like I said, I think this is Drake May's year to shine. The sentimental pick for me here is Houston. That defense is tough, but I think Drake May figures it out. So I've got New England.
Okay, New England, Buffalo for you. This is tough for me, but I'm going with Houston.
New England, Denver for me.
New England, Denver for you. Okay, so I got Houston. The reason is I think that defense is really good. I think that defense is good. I think the Patriots' defense is not as good. They're middle of the pack defense. I think Stroud can move the football. They can run the football. I just think that defense is so good. It's a Super Bowl level defense. Like it's one of those ones that can catch. It's the best defense I've seen since the Baltimore Ravens 2 years ago when they lost the Kansas City AFC Championship game. Can Stroud make enough plays? That's the key. And I could be wrong. They could lose in the first round because of Stroud. But if he can do some enough plays, which I believe he will, I think they get to the AFC Championship game in a close game. Even though it breaks my heart because I'm from Boston, I want my people to be happy. The Super Bowl parties are lit back home. It's just, I got to see. I'm going to take Houston versus Buffalo, and you got Denver versus the Patriots. So who you got winning?
Having broke that down, if that were the matchup, my head says you trust Sean Payton as a coach and that organization. But the storyline and the feel good says Drake May. Like I've said it twice now, 3rd time. This is his coming out party. He shows that he's one of the best young quarterbacks. He's the next generation of elites. Okay,
so you got him going into the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Going into Denver, winning the Super Bowl. If that was the match, I agree with you. I think New England, it would be my Super Bowl pick. Houston, Buffalo. Josh, this is it. I'm calling it the Josh Allen Invitational in the AFC playoffs. This is your turn. This is your turn.
You think he actually gets there?
It's your turn. I think Josh Allen gets there. The league wants him there. Like he's the golden boy. This is your year. Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills get to their first Super Bowl since '94 or whatever year they won 4 straight. So Buffalo Rams for me, Seattle, New England for you. Who you got?
Wow. Seattle, New England.
That's crazy. A rematch of the 2014 Super Bowl.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And New England won because we forgot beast mode. I don't think we forget beast mode this time. I think Kenneth Walker, puts his thumbprint on. I think Mike McDonald's smart enough to win that one. That would be an interesting matchup, but I'd lean Seattle. Seattle just because I think, like you said, the defense is middle of the pack, and I think Njigba would have a field day.
Yeah, yeah. Seattle is a better team than them. Buffalo Rams. I think that'll be an amazing Super Bowl in San Francisco. But the buck stops with the better team. Better team's the Rams. So I think Sean McVay and those guys make more plays. Josh gets to his first Super Bowl, but he loses it. And I think those Rams, who I picked at the beginning of the year to go to the Super Bowl against Baltimore. I said Baltimore
Yeah.
was going to win it, but Baltimore ain't in it. And if they was, I wasn't picking them to beat Houston. So
Yeah.
I got the Rams and Sean McVay and Stafford winning their second Super Bowl in the last 5 years. No, it would be 2002. Yeah, the 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn, we just broke down the whole playoffs. But we're gonna hold you to that. I got the Rams, Buffalo. You got Seattle, New England. Let's see how it goes. It's gonna be
See how it plays out. It'll be fun.
for sure. But it's crazy because just based off those, it's gonna be like the brackets. Everybody's brackets gonna be different this year in the postseason. That's exciting for the NFL.
Yeah, we do March Madness. Everyone does the brackets and stuff. We really should do it for the playoffs this year because it's gonna be, no one's gonna have a perfect bracket.
No, it's gonna be. All the teams all your picks you said. I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, I can see that happening. But
that's my point. Yeah, like I made all my picks, but your arguments, the ones that were opposing, I'm not mad at because they could. A lot of those games can literally. This is one of those rare years where every game could go either way. Save the Panthers-Rams game where, unless there's a miracle, I don't see Carolina winning, and I'm rooting for them. God knows, but I just don't. That's the one solid victory.
Yeah, that's the one that you could kind of like. If that happens, it might be the greatest upset.
And then if Carolina wins that game, they shake up the entire thing. Quite frankly, at that point, I'm likely to just say the Bears are going to win it all.
No, if Carolina wins this, I'm gonna be honest, and they go to they'll be the 4th seed, and the way it plays out, they go to Seattle. I'm gonna put $1,000, and I don't gamble, on Seattle to blow them out. No offense to Carolina. Carolina, if they do that miracle, cool. But there's no way Carolina. I'm saying no way they're going.
Just lost to them. So I don't know. There's a reason. There's a fight.
No way that team.
Twice. We beat the Bucks twice. Hey, who knows?
Yeah, there's no way they're going to Seattle and going to beat that defense. No way. I just don't see it. But we'll see. The craziest things has happened. The Giants beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, so you never know. You got anything else?
No. This is what we live for, man. It's the fun time of the year. Football is good. My Tar Heels are looking pretty good, by the way.
Basketball, yeah. Caleb Williams. Is it Caleb Wilson?
Yep.
He's right out. We got the big 3 in the draft, but he's in that big next group of 4 or 5 guys. He looks like a grown man playing against kids.
Yes.
Carolina does look. I like college. I think once February hits and we got conference, that's when I'm really locked into college basketball because I know March is.
Yeah, we just started conference play last weekend, so it's still early. It's not relevant for me. College basketball isn't crucial until Duke Carolina, and the first one's probably late January, early February. So
that's a great point. That's when we'd be like, all right, let's focus on this. Like that's how I know more of the non-NBA players or draftees and stuff. So that's good.
And pitchers and catchers report in a few weeks, so I'm excited about that too.
My Yankees haven't done too much. I'm not overly excited. Excuse me for what they have, the lack of things they've done, but that's another conversation for another day. And it's still January. I don't know. Guys be signing so late in baseball, like a month before. Yeah, it's just like it's crazy how that stuff works. All right, you guys. So we'll be back next Tuesday. There'll be a lot of more things to talk about. The NFL playoffs will be over Monday night. Actually, the last game is Monday night. I like how they break it down: 2 games on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, 1 Monday night. Yeah. Love it. The NFL. It's a monopoly with whoever runs it. Well, Goodell and those guys, they know how to make money.
Are you a fan of Amazon games where you're forced to subscribe?
Yeah, so little like soapbox moment. I don't mind Amazon Prime having games. I mind Netflix having games. I mind Peacock having games. This is the reason. Amazon is a double benefit besides just watching TV. I just order a lot of stuff from Amazon. My new water bottle came in a day. So the benefits of Amazon is not just the games. I do have a problem with all these other streaming things where Netflix, all I do is watch TV. It's not like I'm getting anything delivered to me, or I can order food or groceries and like that.
And
So
yeah.
Exactly. I'm not mad with Amazon because you have Prime. I pay $12 a month anyways, and there's other benefits for it. I do have a problem with these other streaming things that the NBA and NFL has done. I just don't like it. But I have them. I can't lie. I have Peacock and I have that Netflix, but I have other people's information. I can watch them.
There you
but
go.
I have my own Prime. I have my own Prime. That's what I meant to say. Keeping it real. But what about you? You like it?
I don't like it because it forces me to go to a different platform. I use YouTube TV for live TV, so the fact that I have to go out of my YouTube TV and go into my Prime or go into my Peacock or go into my Netflix, it's just a pain in the butt.
Yeah. It really is.
Flip
But
channels. See, I'm one of those people. I hate commercials. So
okay.
the minute my football goes to commercial, I want to flip the channel. But if I'm on Prime, there is nowhere else to go.
Yeah, you gotta sit through that. I just remember, and again, we're around the same age, but I hate to be old-headed in this. I just remember when there was games on NBC, there was games on Fox or CBS, and you just turn it, and that was it. I thought that was pure, but I get it. I understand where the money's
Simpler
at.
time, wasn't it?
Simple time. I get where the money's at. We're all businessmen. Go with what you want. At the end of the day, this is a capitalist country. Go get you with your money. But I do think it comes to be like I wanted to watch Detroit and the Knicks. It was only on Peacock. I don't have Peacock on my TV. I have it on my phone. I was trying to watch it last night. I'm trying to do something else. It was just too much, and it's just done. Yeah. It's just too much. I just want to be able to turn it on the TV, have it on TV while I'm doing my other thing. You know what I'm saying? Because I need my phone to do other things. So that's my only thing with the whole streaming thing. But it's not going to get any easier because now the NFL gets standalone games at Netflix and standalone games here and here. And these packages are like $100 million, $1 billion they're getting. What am I going to tell them?
Yep.
Man. All right, guys, we went on our little rant about streaming services, but we have them all. All right, guys, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We out.